guys, it's Michael. Welcome to Salty World Podcast. Today I have Hemal Patel, also known as akaIncarnate Zeus, on Discord. He's a big seller and collector of Flesh and Blood. Thank you for coming on. And what do you do with Flesh and Blood?
Hey man, so I'm Hemal Patel. I sell a lot of Flesh and Blood singles, mostly unlimited. I sell a lot through the Facebook Marketplace, through Discord, and I've also vend through with my friend at his booth at Magnolia Games. Shout out to Spencer at a lot of the events such as the Callings, and I'll be at Pro Tour New Jersey as well. But yeah, mostly just slinging cardboard at people and helping them win their pro quests and skirmishes.
Awesome. Yeah, I see you on Facebook and Discord all the time. And I forget exactly when we first met, but I remember thinking I was going to win a tunic, I believe. It was like there was an auction house on Facebook. Oh, I won it, and all of a sudden, like the thing I know is like, you won it. I'm like, wait, how'd that happen?
Oh yeah, I remember that. because that was back when you had an actual auction page that functioned for Flesh and Blood. I don't know what happened recently, but it's gotten really dormant. But I think what happened was we had a cold foil tunic. This was back in the dark ages of Flesh and Blood, when everything cost significantly cheaper for Alpha and Arcane First Edition. I remember that time where me and you were buying up $10 cold foil commons, like left and right from everywhere we could get them. And I think it was around that time that there was a tunic that went up for sale in one of the auction pages. And I think it hit around like $550 at the time, which at the time was like ridiculous. No one thought a tunic could cost that much. But at the end, it came down to me and Michael, and Michael thought he had it, but little did he know the anti-sniping rule saved the day and got me a cold foil tunic. Not to rub the salt in the wound of the whale, but that tunic actually ended up coming back 9.5, 9.5, and a 9 from Beckett. I don't know what the terminology on that is. Do you know what it is?
Well, it's 9.5 basic.
Okay.
And if you had anything above 9.5, it'd be 9.5 plus. And if they're all 9.5s, it'd be 9.5 quad.
Ah, okay.
I mean, that's the summary of it. That's how I remember things. But yeah, basically it's 9.5 basic because you had three 9.5s and one 9.
Oh yeah. See, I leave that to pros like you, because when it comes to grading and stuff, I always see you left and right with all these slabs, and I'm just like, man, I'll just stick with my single sleeve cards that I mail out to people.
I mean, slab's a lot of work because like it's a lot of risk in it. You got to pick the cards you want, and you got to ship them out and all that. And you don't see them for like a year, depending on the service you do on it.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, it's much easier just to not grade it. That's why there's a grading premium too, right? It's not only the fact that, hey, the card's in the slab. You had to ship it. There's risk involved. There's a lot of work.
Yeah, I haven't really been a fan of slabbing cards, to be honest. I just like having pretty things in a binder. I think recently I shared with Michael about a page of my collection binder that I finished, which has 3 of the full art twinning blades, 3 of the Chinese Fate for scenes, and 3 of the Scar for Scar promos. I'm more of a sit and look at it, and you can use it to play it rather than slab it up and protect it forever type of guy.
Yeah, I'm a big mixture on that. Like all my stuff was originally just in binders, like what you had. So I originally kept everything in binders, but then I saw the potential with slabs. One, they look cool, and then if you get like a gold label, it does increase the value quite a bit. One, because they're hard to get gold labels too. So I do like a mixture of the binders and the slabs. So I'll probably do a mixture in the future. Same thing too is like the binder, you don't have to have the super best quality on it. As long as it looks good on the front, that's what
Yeah.
really matters. So
Do you
I like
do you
both
play
approaches.
do you play with your high rarity stuff?
Not right now. It's kind of hard to play with the slabs. You can, depending on the location. Like some of these stores you go to have really small tables.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go to a bigger thing like that, yeah, I wouldn't mind playing with my slabs. But a lot of my stuff's still at BGS, so I'm not doing that. But for example, like my Monarch stuff, going for that, if I had like a LP or like non-grader, I wouldn't even mind just double sleeving it and playing it.
Yeah, that's what I ended up doing. So with the amount of cases I cracked, I ended up getting a decent chunk of like, non-gradable, non-really sellable items that are like LP, and to the point where you kind of had to like heavily discount it to kind of move it. I just end up keeping them as myself, like for my own. Like, for example, out of Everfest, I opened up a stalagmite that had a massive, like on the right side, like an edge raise. Can't really sell it because people will demand like a heavy discount. So at that point, I'm just like, you know what? I'll take this as my personal copy, slab it up, put it in the collection binder, and then maybe later down the road, if I get another one that's a nicer copy, I'll pick it up. But yeah, at least this way I have something I can use.
Yeah. Well, how much Everfest did you end up opening?
Let's see. I want to say like around 60 cases.
That's
Give it,
it's a good amount.
yeah, 60 cases. I opened up a lot in like the first month. I want to say I opened up about 20 to 25 release weekend, and then about like 5 to 10 every single week afterwards. Because like in the beginning, Majestics were flying off the shelves. I could not keep it in stock. It came to the point where even with opening all 60 of the cases, I was unable to like sustain sales to the point where I had to like buy list Majestics and stuff off my local guys and like mass like because I have a Houston is a very big scene for Flesh and Blood. So there's a huge conglomerate of players and whales, as you would say, that open up a bunch of product, and they always want the higher rarity foils, or the cold foils and this or that, and what usually goes to the wayside are those non-foil Majestics. And that's when I come in, I'm like, hey, I'll pick them up off you, trade you some foils, because most players, they just want to hit the cards to play, so they don't really care about is this foil, is this non-foil, is this cold foil, is this hot foil, for whatever reason. They just don't really care. They just want to copy the card that they can sling on the table and attack for one with Kadachi.
Nice. Yeah, that's what I like about Flesh and Blood. The collectible side of things, there's playable side of things. It's got a little bit for everybody.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So Flesh and Blood, when did you get into it? How did you hear about the game?
So funny enough, I got into the game right about the release of Crew. Like the first weekend that Crew came out, my local LGS here in Houston, Heroes Collectibles, they ended up getting Crucible in stock for the first time, and they had a little bit of Arcane Rising First Edition. The store owner and I, longtime friends, and he's like, hey, I have this cool new game. It's called Flesh and Blood. It's pretty big up in some parts of the country. They had some tournament in Austin a couple months ago. So that was one of the first callings. Now that I know more about the game and I was able to learn about it. They had 2 callings in America. One was in New Jersey, and I believe the second one was in Austin, I believe. And a lot of the stores off of that calling in the Texas area ended up picking up the game. So he's like, hey, you can open up this box of Crucible and you can get a lot of cool stuff, and a lot of stuff is worth money. But at that time, when you're opening a box of Crucible First Edition, you pulling like a $5 Majestic or like a $20 Aether Conduit, which is what the price was at the time. You're like, oh my God, $20 for this one card? I can't believe it. But now when you look at it after fact, like, $20 for an Aether Conduit, I'll take it. But I got in that way, and then the completionist in me always wanted to like complete sets of everything. So I remember my first cold foil was a Reaping Blade. I pulled a Reaping Blade out of my first box of Crucible of War, and then I was like, I'm going to build Rune Blade. Little did I know that Crucible of War is the ancillary set. You can't really build decks from just Crucible of War cards. So I started scrounging around. I found the Facebook Marketplace. I found the Houston group. And a lot of the competitive players in the Houston group actually helped me out. Fun fact, one of the first players in America to reach 1K, I believe his last name is Burns. I don't want to butcher his name, but he's a local Houston guy. And he's the one who helped me, join all the groups. And he's like, go there, go here, go there, go here. And I was able to scrounge around a collection. And I think this was right before I met you is when I got in, literally, I think a week or 2 before. So I wanted to get and collect all of the legendaries and all the fables and stuff like that. And I was like, I just want to have a master set. So if I want to play the game, I can play the game, and I have every single card. So I started just picking them up. And then you had that first big wave of prices that went up. I think it was right when they announced the CFB partnership. then they had that second wave where all the prices shot up again, right when TCG Player got announced. And then the third wave when they announced all the print runs were over and they announced the unlimited and this and that. And I remember like as time wore on, each time I was like, oh, this game is great. And I was like, oh, this game is really great. But not because of the prizes. I mean, not the prices of all the cards, but the just the gameplay. Because like the more the price of a card that you own goes up, the more you want to try to like figure out what that card does. You're like, oh, this card is worth like $20 now, but now it's worth 150. Why is that worth 150? So I started digging in and seeing how different classes work and proxied up some decks at the time because I like it was incredibly hard to find WTR or Arcane Rising. So I couldn't really build any of the decks. I was just like, I have a printer, I have some paper, proxy up some decks, play some games, and that's how I got into Fab.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean those back then, like any news is big news because like it was the kind of boom TCGs, everyone's investing, and like any news is like, oh my god, you got this, oh my god, you got this. But like you're saying, you're having trouble getting WTR cards and you're printing it. But then they eventually had the Unlimited come out. I don't remember exactly when WTR and Arcane Unlimited come out.
It was November of 2020.
Got it. Is that how you got into Unlimited? And when did you
So
start selling stuff as well?
So I got into Unlimited around around release date. I remember people back then, they used to do box breaks, like kind of like what all these other people do now, but in the sense that you'd purchase a class and you get all the cards for the class, or you purchase the rarity and you get all the cards for that rarity. So I thought, quick and easy way to get a bunch of cards that way, just start buying those things. And so I was like, I missed out on first edition for this, but I have all my cold foils. So, to me back then, I didn't see a difference between a pink striped E-Strike and a regular E-Strike. So I was like, let's just get cards to play with. So I just started buying and buying and buying. But I made a consolation with myself. I was like, I will collect only Unlimited, but it has to be foil. I was like, that was the consolation. I'll forego the first edition, glamour and glitz for the Unlimited, but I have to make it foil. So I jumped in, just started buying all that stuff. And because I bought so much product, I had so much excess. So at the time, I didn't really have an interest to sell. I used to play, I come from a background of other games. I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Competitively for a bit. And at the time, I was just dabbling around with Magic and playing Commander with my friends because I think that was like towards the end of the first year of the pandemic. So, we'd all been, inside for a long time, finally getting out, getting to go to the local game store again. So I was like, Commander was the easiest way to jump into any other game at that time. So I was just, let's buy a pre-con for that and splash stuff together and go. I actually started selling to some stores that operate right now. And they were buy listing cards for me heavily and stuff like that. And that's how I initially started selling. But over time, I looked at what I was doing and I was like, I could probably just go into business for myself with the amount of cards I have. So right around the start of Monarch, I did that. I purchased as many cases as I could buy at the time, knowing that high price tag Monarch was at launch of $2,500 a case, right? Bought as many cases as I could, and then I sold as much as I could and rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And until we are where we are now.
Nice. So you also buy first edition still too, right? With Tails and then Everfrest, of course, too. Do you buy Tails Unlimited or do you just do the first edition for those ones?
I do first edition. So with sets that have announced unlimited runs, like Tails did and Monarchs did, right? But when Monarch was announced, we knew that the unlimited was coming about a month later, and with Tails, it's about 2 months later. I would purchase limited amounts of first edition because, Monarch is a separate case because it was just an egregious pricing. So I couldn't really, I didn't really want to divest like $2,500 for a case, knowing that, it's kind of iffy if you get your money back, if you high roll or not. It's either you get an equipment piece between Husk, Vestige, Dynamo, or Footsteps, or you slow roll and doomsday yourself, right? But for Tails, I picked up a decent chunk of first edition, at least until Unlimited came out. And then once Unlimited comes out, I just liquidate most of what first edition I have and just buy tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of unlimited.
Is there any certain set of unlimited that you're buying right now still?
Yeah, for sure. Right now, Aria is, I believe, the sleeper set for unlimited. People don't realize how much of a gold mine that set is, in my opinion. A lot of the Majestics are heavily meta used. There's no bad legendary in that set. Even the Fabled is, it's not really playable, but it moves fairly quickly due to, just people wanting it because it goes into all of these elemental decks that have taken a stronghold over the meta.
Yeah, I mean, definitely it's a sleeper. I mean, in general though, like I mean, we had Starvo come out out of nowhere, and all of a sudden that set became super popular again. And then we'll probably have again more elemental heroes in the future. So as long as they can use those legendaries too, even if it's not like super popular now, I could see it being very popular later on.
Exactly, and it's like even with like the love story as true as time, Rune Blood and Flesh and Blood, right? They love each other, and every set will get another one. Like Creepers, it's used by almost every single Runeblade hero. And even if in the future they make one, the Creepers is going to be a great spec. Heart of Ice and all the elemental ones. You saw Crown of Seeds recently shoot up in price tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
And then with Guardian and the Love Guardians gotten recently, you saw Rampart do about the same thing. And New Horizons is an interesting viewpoint because it's only used by one of the Ranger heroes, but it still commands the price it does because there's this like weird angle that Unlimited and First Edition has created, especially with Arya, that you can see because First Edition Arya was so cheap that people could justify, I could spend 300 on this Unlimited case, or I could spend 340 on this First Edition case. At that point, if you're making that purchase at $300, that extra $40 is not really that big of a difference. But that leads to a lot less unlimited being opened, which leads to a lot of times, and which is what we've seen with Arya mostly, is a lot of the unlimited cards end up being worth more than the first edition card. And it creates this like weird paradox.
Oh well, I had no idea that the unlimited cards could show up higher than the first edition. That's very interesting.
Oh yeah, it's happened a couple times. It happened with Monarch as well because that, as you know, Monarch is got flooded heavily in the beginning, and then when Unlimited came out, it got flooded even worse. But I think it's slowly starting to get its ground back.
Yeah, I mean Monarch. Again, I don't know much about the unlimited side of things, but the first edition, I did a video recently on how thin the market kind of is if you go to TCG Player. I'm not sure how's the unlimited market for Monarch right now.
The unlimited market for Monarch right now is fantastic, in my opinion. If you can get cases at a decent price, most cases they end up giving you good value. There's 4-hit legendaries, obviously the duds being the 2 spells, Doomsday and Eclipse. But if you get a Husk, it's good value. If you get a Dynamo, it's good value. Footsteps and Vestige are really hot right now because of Prism, and Dynamo because of the new Dorinthia and Kasai. But most of the bulk of the weight that you'll get is through the Majestics, and Monarch tends to have a lot of good ones. It has, Cataclysm, which tends to be roughly $15. You have Sonatas, you have Soul Shields, you have all the Prisms Majestics, and there's a lot of good of the Warrior ones that I think that will be good in the future as well.
Yeah, Sloop Dupe keeps talking about the Spill Blood card. So I mean, if you get a brand new axe, I think it's a sleeper card too.
Do you think that new Dawnblade is going to be an axe from that new classic battle set?
I don't think that's gonna be an axe, but I think we might get another warrior this summer.
And that new set, the new draft booster set.
Yeah, I mean, you can get whatever you want. It's all speculation. But if we get a new warrior and I get some new axes, that'd be a good card. But it could be whatever it is. But nonetheless, I think Monarch was a pretty solid set. So you got that. You got Tails. Is WTR and Arc still popular for Unlimited?
So WTR is interesting because it tends to go through this like weird like roller coaster of pricing. Like every now and then when you get a hype season, the cards will all shoot up drastically. Like we saw that with Tectonic Plating as soon as they showed off Oldhim. They saw that with Tectonic Plating when they showed off Starvo. Same thing with Ninja Mask when they showed off all those like new ninja cards and stuff like that. It tends to be very upsy downsy, and like as you've seen recently, Heart has started to tank in price as well. So WTR tends to be what moves the most, but it also tends to be what's the most volatile, in my opinion. And with it being out of print, it has this new layer of curveball because now there's, not a infinite supply of it anymore. There's a finite number. So whatever's there is there. Same with Arc. Arc is interesting to say the least. I've personally stopped purchasing Arc cases because of the higher cost that it's become. Like it's really hard to, justify purchasing cases at around 3 to 350 at what they're at right now in the market and try to, not just break even, but that. So when it comes to Arc, I've started to turn into buy listings for singles for there. But Arc is very, very hot singles wise. Otherwise, like, you have a hit Majestic for every single class, High Octane's fire, Three of a Kind's fire, Mordred Tide's fire. Both of the wizard spells are very good, especially us going into skirmish season. And obviously, we all always know about Art of War and Command and Conquer.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point right there too. Is like you could get really good cards in that set, but you have a much higher buy-in price. So for your side is selling things, it's probably better to get the cheaper sets that aren't maybe as demanded, but it's still very usable.
Exactly. Well, you can end up filling it out because what ends up happening is a lot of times, a lot of the like my customers, for example, they'll have X cards from whatever set there is, and they want to trade them in towards legendaries, majestics for other sets or whatever, and they'll end up buy listing it to the store for store credit, and then in that way it helps me out. I get to fill up my inventory with singles for future sales, and they get the cards they want at the end of the day also.
Awesome. So do you have an online store as well too? Because I've always seen you on Facebook and Discord.
Yeah, so mostly I've been on Facebook and Discord for now, but I've been developing my online site. I had a little problem that happened when I was developing it the first time. We had some issues with the logo and stuff like that, so I had to hire someone else to do it. But he's almost done with the new project, and we're trying to just upload all the inventory in. And I was hoping to launch it with Everfest, but due to the mix-up I had with the logo and stuff like that, I had to delay it. So I'm shooting to launch it in conjunction with the new draft booster set that launched in June.
Cool. Feel free to share it on the Discord, Salty World Discord when you get it
For
up.
sure.
And then, hey, so since you're so big in Unlimited now, I mean, I know you do first edition too, but what are your thoughts if Fab Unlimited is phased out with Fab Phase 2.0?
I think if Fab Unlimited phases out with Fab 2.0, as long as it follows somewhat of an Everfest model, in the sense that you have low cost of entry for the average people. Like with Everfest, you have a cheaper price point and stuff like that. So you're able to get it in at a relatively cheap price. Like most people are able to purchase cases right now around like 300-ish, right? So I think at that point it'd be fine if they introduce all these variants and stuff like that. But I've always been keen for this one idea, but obviously, What's Party guy James White listens to me, but I always wanted them to create a SKU within the first edition set itself. So, for example, like let's say we open up a first edition booster box of the next draft booster set. You can get every single legendary in that box in cold foil, but the drop rate will be slightly lower. But what would be the more common drop rate would be that same legendary in rainbow foil. So that creates that divergent path where you have collectors and players buying the same product, but collectors have a chase, players have their card that they can get. That's the same card, lower version. And you're able to like skew all the cold foils that way. That way every player can get what they need and every collector can get their dream.
That's exactly how I'd want it to be if they're merged together, actually. And that way you won't have the lower tier. So some stores were dumping unlimited boxes, so you don't have to worry about that if they're all bunched together.
So, question for you: I know you consider yourself a player as well as the collector, but do you ever come into that dilemma where you're like, too much product, or I'm buying too much, or stuff like that? Like, how do you tone yourself down in that way, or how do you feel about going out and like purchasing a lot of cards and stuff like that? I just like hearing the different perspective from different people.
I mean, I just try to secure as much product as I can within X amount of money. So I probably put about 20 to 50 grand in per set. Will I keep maintaining on each set? I don't know, but I'll keep buying a lot because I love to open the packs, right? I love it's a slight addiction, right?
No, I
So
feel you 100%.
yeah, it's a major addiction probably, but I like the open packs, right? So
Oh yeah.
I'll keep doing that with the sets. It's definitely nice to have chase. I mean, this past week, since Rudy keeps talking about Monarch print runs and all that stuff coming out, I've been opening a lot of Monarch First Edition. I've really enjoyed it. So when I buy a lot of product, it's really good to do that because then I have it later. I mean, I got Monarch at a very good price. Don't get me wrong, but going forward is I might not buy as much up front if I could buy it for the same price over time.
Yeah.
So that's something I want to consider, but I still want to keep buying because one is like you, I do sell some of my singles,
Mhm.
and I keep the ones for grading, all that stuff like that. And it's just fun to have like the cash flow opening, saving all the cards. I love keeping the cold foils, and yeah, so it's fun. I've bought from overseas before, all that. I did that a little bit with Everfest. I did a lot of that with Tails because Team Covenant cut me out, so I had to find new sources for buying.
Oh yeah.
But nonetheless, though, it's fun to find sources for it. I try to get good prices if I can. But if I'm buying for the same price that it is at release, I have no incentive to buy it all at once, right? I could stage it over time.
That makes sense. And I think that's going to be the good part about if they do merge the limited and the first edition run with how big the game has gotten. We're, coming into calling season now with calling Indianapolis and in 2 months' time, the Pro Tour. And a lot of you can see the impact of the player base and stuff like that, which is going to lead, in my opinion, LSS to print more and more product because they can't just leave this big of a player group out to dry. They have to incrementally increase it. So that gives us the luxury now of not having to, binge buy the week one as many as we can get and then just hoard. Now we can just, enjoy it, savor it, and open it over time.
But I like the thing that we point out too, though, is any if they increase the print runs quite a bit, if they
Mm-hmm.
decrease the pull rate of cold foils, you still maintain the super collectible aspect of it.
Yeah, that makes sense because I think the whole chase behind the cold spoil is the scarcity. Don't you think? Don't you agree?
Yeah, I mean it's super rare. Like if I
Yeah.
show anybody I have a tunic, they're like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "No, I got 20. This guy don't have 20." But you know what I mean? Like it's just so rare. It's like you know, it's special, right?
Yeah,
Like
we gotta come up with a new nickname for you, Mister 10% of the world's tunic supply is gonna be your new nickname.
wait, what's 10% of the supply? That'd be
You have
40.
10%. How many do you have?
I think 15.
There's like what 400 of them.
800 tunics.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's 800 tunics.
Yeah, the 400's the Rainbow Foil Majestics.
That's what it was.
Yeah, it's
Damn,
it's hard to remember all those numbers off the top of your head.
they're rarer than the legendaries. That's insane.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
the Rainbow Foil Majestics are rarer than legendaries.
yeah.
Um, but if you think about it, they had the regular and non-foil ones, and
Uh
then
huh.
there's a one Rainbow Foil Majestic typically per case,
Uh
and
huh.
there's 10 different SKUs for that.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so
I know.
that's
I
why
know.
it's
I
more
know.
rare.
I know you've been on a binge buying of Rainbow Foil commons and rares and any foils you can really get from Arc First and Alpha.
Oh, right now is a good time to buy when things are, I guess you could say bearish.
Oh yeah.
Um, like if you're in the waiting period for people to get, supposed to get Monarch numbers soon, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of people don't like to invest when they're uncertain. So if you're uncertainty, the prices are not going to go up; they're going to go down or stay the same.
Yeah.
So my thing is, I've been buying a lot because people are uncertain.
Oh
I did
yeah.
the same thing when Flesh and Blood first came out, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's this game's never gonna make it. It's not gonna last, whatever." So if I have money, I'm gonna be buying. And then I sold a Heart and Eye in January for 50 grand. I'm like, well, I don't want to sell something in a bear market, so I didn't want to sell it, but I knew the guy. And he won 9.5,
Yeah.
so I did it. And I was like, all right, well, I don't want to just sit on this 50 grand cash. I'm gonna put it all back into Flesh and Blood. So I've
Yeah.
been eyeing the Rainbow Foil commons and rares, Monarch, and all those different aspects, and then bought more cases at Everfest.
That makes sense. I've been doing the same thing in a way because with the company you're able to just bankroll your hobby. It's like that's what we all do it for, right? We all want to get pretty stuff and play for fun and free mostly. The biggest part is the free part. But I've been just reinvesting the money I get from the company and slowly trying to build up my collection to a nice place. Like I was able to finish. I have all my equipment in cold foil now. early on, I thought, about the promos and stuff like that. I was like, who needs extended R's? Who needs alt R's and stuff like that? But little did I know that I should probably collect those. So I started way too late, but I started grabbing up all the extended R armory promos, the promos you get at the callings, the ones you get in packs like Frigid and Galaxy Black and Twinning Blade, for example. Just, I feel like that's more of like the niche holy grail in a way. Like, having all the promos that have ever existed for the game is like, over time it becomes easier, but backtracking and then trying to forward track is going to be a task and a half. So glad I got that almost over with. But it's just become super fun to like, find new projects to like start like, spending the little money that I want to from the company in order to like purchase out and fill out. Like now my new one, after pivoting from filling out all the promos, is going towards getting cold foil heroes.
Well, that's you said you kind of got in late on those, but another perspective on it is you bought a lot of other stuff early, right? So since you
Yeah,
bought
for
a lot of
sure.
other stuff early, you could then sell that stuff or trade it towards the promos that you got now. So, I mean, it would have been nice for you got it then, but I'm sure you put money other places too.
Oh yeah.
So,
That
which
was the
is
whole
one
that's
way to say you're not too late.
100%. That was the whole way I got started, actually. So the whole reason I got started on the company was I purchased a full set of the 10 legendaries and one of every cold foil common for roughly like $2,800 at the time. This was back when you were buying all your stuff. 6 months passed and we're back. We're in like January to February 2021 and stuff skyrocketed. I fire sold that for like roughly about 40-50 grand and then use that to bankroll all my endeavors with Fab. And that's what helped mostly push the company into, trying to get as many orders as I do now and, try to help and get as much unlimited to the players as I can.
Yeah, I mean, I did the same thing when trying to, get my Monarch money together. I had like 50 something $1,000 purchase on that. And I sold a heart for like 20 grand, non-graded, last year, like probably March, April, February timeframe.
Yeah,
And then, sometimes you have to sell stuff to get new stuff. So
exactly.
it's like, I don't have infinite money. It would be nice just keep buying everything. I'm like, okay, well,
I
either I got to
know.
buy or trade or sell, whatever, to get the next stuff.
But man, hey man, if you want to print money, you can just invest in Unlimited. I know a guy that can help you out and get you started.
Well, talking about unlimited, you buy a lot. What do
Oh
you,
yes.
how do you sort it and what do you do with all your bulk?
Oh man. So I want to say I roughly go through about 40 cases of Flesh and Blood Unlimited a week. Um, so about 160 cases a month. The best way to do it is I would open it as I go. And sort it as I go, right? So let's say Tales of Aria unlimited case, I'm cracking through. I'll separate it by class as I open it, and I'll separate it by rarity. So commons, rares, and the higher end stuff. And then little fun fact: the case box that most Flesh and Blood boxes ship in can hold up to 2 cases worth of bulk. So what ends up happening is I open up so much in mass that I'll have however many classes there are in that set and boxes. I'll just throw all the composite rares into those. And then I have a bigger inventory system for the foils, the higher end cards, and the majestics and supers if that applies to the set. Then when I get an order, you just go. Everything is alphabetized and inventoried and spreadsheeted. So just ping, 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 fill the order and ship it out. But bulk wise, trying to store all that bulk, because you can imagine the mountains of cardboard I have from 40 cases a week. For sure, my trash guy hates me, and so does my mail guy. But I ended up just like trying to buy a shed and just throw all that in there. But as a way to like quickly liquidate a lot of the bulk, I've been making common and rare sets. So 3 of every common, 3 of every rare, 1 of every token, and just package them up into team bags, and I have them all ready in little boxes. And a lot of times, a lot of new players, when they get into the game, they want to get all the commons and rare cards so they can just like jump straight in and play around with some kitchen table Flesh and Blood. Because in Flesh and Blood, and I know Michael, you play a lot too, so that the more powerful cards in the game are the commons and rares. So being able to get like a good 2/3 of the set within in like one purchase, a lot of buyers they tend to want to gravitate towards that.
That's awesome that you got a system for that. So maybe you'll get your shed back someday,
Oh man, hopefully.
or maybe you'll need a second shed.
I'll just start expanding. I'll go lateral, and then I'll start building vertical with my sheds.
Nice. And then so like you sell the non-foils, it sounds like through the the commons and rares you're talking about too. And then
Yeah.
what about all those foils and stuff like that?
I get a lot of orders. Surprisingly, a lot of people who want to foil out their decks, they'll just send me deck list after deck list and just be like, "Hey, I want to build this deck list out in foil. Can you do it?" And I'll just be like, "Yeah." So I just start. I have them all alphabetized and sorted. So I'll just go through, pill out the colors and the card they want, and package them up and ship them out that way. Uh, it's a pain to sort all those cards, but yeah, I do it every now and then when I get a free time. I have a huge backlog that I have to get to. It's almost like 5 or 6 5Ks worth of unsorted foil bulk. But one day when football season comes back, I'll sit down some one Sunday night, sip a beer, and sort through all that bulk.
All right, last question. How much time do you spend sorting a week or opening these products?
Oh man, so I do have a day job. I'm a last year student in law school, so I'm a student plus I work at a law firm at the moment. So with all that going on, plus running this, I probably spend like 2 to 3 hours a day on Flesh and Blood, mostly at night when I'm relaxing, but about 2 3 hours a day during the week, and maybe like 4 or 5 during the weekend.
Wow, that's much less time than I thought. You must be really fast at this then.
Oh, it's optimized, man. I have the whole system where I have the garbage bag in between my legs, all open packs, and I sling the packs down. I'm able to like sort and get through the packs really quickly at this point. It's like an automated system. I think my record was I opened 20 cases of Flesh and Blood in 3 hours.
Wow, that you're way faster than me. I'll have to get some tips from you later. Well, hey, thanks for coming on. And then be sure to post your website once you get it going.
For
And we
sure,
can
man.
find you on Facebook, Hemal Patel. I probably said your name wrong again.
No,
And
it's
then
all good.
Incarnate Zeus on Discord.
For sure, man. Thanks for having me on, and glad to talk to you. Silver Whale. I hope I'm not too late to enter, but
Just missed it.
oh man, I got my sweaty palms too late. Hopefully, we can do this again sometime in the future. And thanks for having me on once again.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I'll talk to you soon.
You too, bud.